If you're someone who has big goals, big ideas, and a vision for your life, but when it actually comes time to work on those things, you feel exhausted, this episode is for you. Because the truth is that most people don't have a time problem, they have an energy problem. You can know exactly what to do, you can have the plan, you can even feel motivated earlier in the day. But if you don't have the energy to execute, none of it matters. And I've been there juggling a full time job, building a business, trying to stay consistent online, and feeling like I just had nothing left to give at the end of the day. So, in this episode, we're breaking down how to actually create more energy in your life so you can start showing up for the things that you say you want, not in a fluffy way, but in a practical, actionable, this will change how you operate way.
Feel like this topic is so applicable to both of us, but to everyone who listens to this podcast as well, because I don't know if it's just a thing with ambitious women, but I have never met an ambitious woman that is not juggling multiple things or has multiple goals at the same time, working towards multiple things. Like any of my ambitious friends or other entrepreneurs I meet, they're like, yeah, I'm building this and I'm working on this. Oh, and I'm really trying to lock in on my workout routine and and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, you've said and 5 times. I'm tired hearing it. Like, I'm like, what does your schedule look like? But I think with that, when you're like innately ambitious and you want to be doing a lot of things, you want to be juggling a lot of things, it is very common to be like, have really good intentions at the beginning of the day where you're like, I'm going to work on my business after get out of my day job today, or I'm going to go to the gym after work. And then that time rolls around and you're like, gosh, I feel like this happens all the time with like meal prepping and cooking where people are like, I'm going to cook at home tonight. I'm going to make a really healthy meal. And then it comes time to actually do it. And we're like, oh my gosh. And that's like, if you're listening to this and you're like, yes, like that is me. I just want to validate that because I do think there is a lot of issues, not necessarily, I mean, there are issues with time where you're strapped for time, but I think more so it comes down to energy because when you have the energy, you can get more done in a shorter amount of time and juggle the things that you're juggling even better.
I do this all the time. I feel like in my brain, even though I'm fully self-employed now, I separate in my brain my weekly tasks with my longer term projects. Obviously, my weekly tasks are the things that I have to do every single day, every single week to just keep the ball rolling. But then my longer term projects are those things that are like, oh, I have an idea for this. That would be so cool. This product that I want to create, or this email flow that I need to do to like set up the automation. I need to work on that. And those things tend to get pushed to like nights and weekends. And I do this all the time where at the beginning of the day, I'm like, after work today, I am sitting down for 2 hours and I'm finishing the freebie that I want to set as like an offer in my stand store or whatever it is. And then the end of the day rolls around and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to go lay on the couch and I don't want to do
Mhm.
anything. So I definitely, I feel this way too. And it was a lot worse when I was juggling corporate, freelance, content, all of the things. So in this episode, we have 6 different tips to just get your energy back and feel a little bit more in control of your energy to stop feeling that way as often. And obviously, rest is still important. We are not the type of girls that are like, be productive 24/7. That's so not us.
Mm-mm.
But when you feel like you want to do a lot of different things and you're just yeah, not feeling in control of your energy to be able to predict when you're going to have enough energy to work on your business and your projects, I think this episode can be for you. So let's get into the first one. This one is to stop trying to work against your energy, but to build around it. And I think in a nutshell, this tip is just to put your highest leverage work at your most productive times. And this is going to be different for everyone. Some people are more productive in the morning. Some people are more productive in the afternoon. Some people, I have a friend that literally stays up until like 3 o'clock in the morning because her most productive hours are between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And
Oh my
her
gosh.
now husband have separate bedrooms because she stays up all night and he has a normal sleep schedule. She's like, I do deep
Wow.
work from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. I'm like, girl, that could never be me, but I love that
I'm
for
in
you.
I'm in REM sleep. I'm in
Yes,
deep
REM
sleep at
sleep.
that hour. Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh.
I remember when I was in the phase of juggling corporate freelance content, I started pushing my workouts to after work around like 5 to 6 p.m., even though that's the least efficient time for me to work out because I had a lot of business goals at that time and my mornings are my most productive. So I would get up at 6:30 and from 7 to 9 before I started my corporate job, I would have 2 straight hours of like deep focused work to focus on my stuff before my day started. So I think that that's just a little bit of an internal like thing that you need to think about on what time of day you're most productive.
Yes. And I also think too, two things. One, I feel like the night owls get a bad rap. I know we were joking, oh, I'm asleep at that hour, but there are people who function best like late at night. And if that's you, I think we see all this content online of 5 a.m. morning routine, wake up, get things done, be productive. You're never going to be as productive as you are in the morning. And yes, that's true for some people. But if you are one of those night owl people, like just own it. Like that's okay. It just focus on when you are most productive. The other thing I'll say is that don't discount your weekends and like pay attention to your energy on the weekends because even when I had my freelance marketing business and as a content creator, I love getting work done on the weekends because as a freelancer, knowing that none of my clients were really online and I wasn't obligated to like respond to Slack messages or anything from them during the week, or on the weekend, I mean, it was nice. It almost felt like I just would have less like pressures. And so I could just zone into work. And I also like that on the weekends with content, I almost feel like I have more time because I don't have a set to do list usually if I'm working on the weekend. So if you're in the same boat, do that. Or sometimes I'm like, okay, I am more in the mood to clean in the morning. So I clean my apartment during my morning routine instead of doing like a closing shift at the end of the day. It really just depends on when you like what your energy cycles look like. And if you pay attention to it for a week or so, you'll notice when you're more energized than others.
I totally agree with that. Back to what I was saying about like my weekly tasks versus my longer term projects. I do struggle during the week to focus on those longer term projects because you have that guilt of like, well, there's things that I should be doing that are a little bit more immediate, which is as a business owner, you have to learn to release that guilt because those longer term things are often when you start building something substantial. But a lot of times I struggle to get into like a 2 to 4 hour work block for those things. So I remember when I was in my Nashville apartment, obviously Alex and I were doing long distance. So I was by myself every single night. And there would be a lot of nights where I would randomly get a burst of energy at like 8 p.m. And when I go to lay down in bed, I'm like feeling very creative. So I would just like bring my computer to bed and all of a sudden be doing work for like an hour to an hour and a half. And you end up getting a lot done because you're already in that creative energy and that mindset of you want to get it done and it feels like bonus time. And I think that that's why weekends work so well too is because it feels like bonus time and you're like I get to work on whatever I want to right now. So take advantage of that. Like that feeling of I don't have to be doing anything right now. I'm doing this because I want to. I think you're inherently so much more productive because you're in that energy.
Absolutely. Okay. Number two is to use movement to create energy, not rest to wait for it. And like Erin was saying, we're not people who are like, never rest, sacrifice sleep, go, go, go. I am an 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep a night
You love a
girl.
rest.
And that is a non negotiable. I will not be sacrificing that for literally anything. But I think that sometimes we think that, how do I say this? I'm in this like little like not vicious cycle, but this little like loop sometimes with like my health where I'm like, oh, I'm tired. And then I'm like, well, moving my body actually does help and then gives me more energy. But getting over that initial hump to be like I need to actually get myself moving, I feel like is really difficult. But once I do, I tend to be more energized. And a good example of this is I have a walking pad that I'll put underneath my standing desk. And when I first got the walking pad, what, like 2 or 3 years ago? I think it was 3 years ago. I used to walk like like literally 6 hours a day because, and not at a fast pace, but when I was on that walking pad, it gave me like I felt so energized and I could zone into my work. Now I don't walk like as long. I'll walk for a few hours on it. But if I'm having a day where I'm just feeling kind of like meh, I will put the walking pad under my desk and I will say there's this initial friction of being like, ugh, like I don't want to walk, like my body feels fatigued, whatever. But then every time I do it, I always end up, it like, gives me more energy, which makes sense. We know like moving our body and how the chemicals work and stuff inside of our body, that ends up giving us energy. So sometimes if I am having like a day where I'm just like kind of, yeah, feeling like, or I'm hitting like the 2 p.m. slump or something, I will try to use the walking pad to just like get me up and moving. And I think it really does make a difference.
No, I totally agree with that. I think the 2 p.m. slump is applicable to everybody. And if it's not, I would love to know in Spotify what you
Yeah,
do to not have a 2 p.m.
please.
slump. I will say this is not part of this tip, but I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast before. I used to get the like 2 to 3 p.m. crash every single day. And then someone told me to delay caffeine for 90 minutes to 2 hours after you wake up because that will stop you from having an afternoon crash. And that actually did change my life. That was such a drastic difference in and of itself, which is a little bit of a tangent. But yeah, so maybe try delaying caffeine if you're getting that. But I still do feel like after sitting at my computer for 5 or 6 hours, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't think anymore. I don't want to do anything anymore. But some type of movement to break up your day in that regard definitely helps. So whether it's just like going outside for a 10-minute walk, or I've seen some people who work from home, they every single hour they'll have like a timer, and on the hour, every hour, they'll just get up and do 10 air squats. And apparently that's
Okay.
really good for your like I'm not a doctor. Apparently it's really good for your body to just like get that movement in once an hour every so yeah, maybe just like the whole point of this is you're going to naturally feel that slump, but it's like sitting in your chair for longer is not going to fix it. You taking a 10-minute break is going to buy you back way more than 10 minutes of productivity because you're going to come back feeling a lot better. I also TikTok influenced me to buy one of those vibration plates, and I do love it. I am obsessed with it. I influenced my parents to buy one too because and now like they're obsessed with it as well. And getting on the vibration plate for 10 minutes in the afternoon is another one. Like go take a break, go get a fun drink and go stand on your vibration plate or take a 10-minute walk, and you're going to come back feeling so much more energized to do what you need to do.
Yes, and I think it's doing something that is gonna give you some sort of energy because I was gonna say get up and, like, stretch a little bit, but for me, whenever I'm stretching, that just makes me feel like, I don't know, like it's sleepy time, you know? Like I'm
Then I
doing
just
my,
want to
like
lay on the floor.
yes, like I'm doing my big stretch, you know, and then I'm about to curl up in my blanket and get comfortable. And so I feel like even those little things, like just even if you're working from home, just do a little walk around your apartment. Sometimes after lunch, I will just like, again, like clean something in my apartment, or I'll do laundry midday just to like get up and like move around and do something, or I'll go get a package from the mailroom instead of like doing it after work. I'll like go down midday and I'll get it. And I think that just getting up and moving your body or doing something that involves movement, even if it's synced up with something else, like you quickly meal prep something or it's cleaning, just something that gets your body physically moving is a good way to just kind of break up the day versus like, yeah, some of the slower activities like stretching, meditating, especially meditating. That I
I'll be
no, that's
down.
gonna send me into a nap. Yeah, yeah. I'll be out for the rest of the day. I can't do that. Even just too with like, I know we're talking about like movement and stuff too, but like going to a like work in a different spot. Sometimes I'll go sit on my balcony or I'll sit by the pool and I'll work for even if it's just an hour or two, just to like get some fresh air, get outside, just try to switch up and move my body as I'm kind of walking between the spaces. That definitely helps because same thing, it just gets the was it dopamine? I don't know what chemical it is in there. It gets the body moving and gets things flowing. So
I totally agree with that one, especially when we're talking about, doing something outside of your main job. Like the purpose of this episode is talking about for the girls who want to do it all and have all of these big hopes and dreams, but they struggle with the energy to actually work on it. We are mainly talking about whether you're working on a side business or content creation or whatever it may be. And I think that changing your environment to work on those types of things can be such a good tip because let's say you do work from home for your corporate job and you're sitting at your desk all day. The last thing you're going to want to do at 6 p.m. is go back to that desk and go work on your content business or your side business. But if you take your laptop and go sit in a coffee shop or on your balcony or in the co-working space at your apartment, it can feel like such a subtle shift that like turns your brain into a different mode to be like, okay, now I'm working on this. I've completely disconnected from my corporate job and now it's time for me to work on this. I love that too. Okay, the third one, I love this one too, and I feel like we talk about this a lot. It's to reduce energy leaks in your day. And this is your reminder that energy is not just physical, it's also mental. So if your brain has a lot of things clouding it, it's going to suck your energy so much more than you realize. For example, they say, I forget what the brain capacity percentage is, but when your space is a mess, the amount of energy that that sucks out of your brain because your brain is trying to visually ignore that clutter is crazy. So even something as simple as that, like if your space is a mess, you're naturally going to have so much less physical energy because your brain is trying to ignore the clutter. So this is just your reminder that there's certain things that you're going to want to pinpoint in your day that could be sucking your energy. Like, are you context switching a lot between all of your different things? If you are spending your whole day going back and forth from your corporate job to responding to Slack messages for freelance clients or editing the TikTok video and then checking TikTok every 20 minutes to see how many views your video got and going back and forth, that is going to drain your energy so much more than just having 4 or 5 things on your to-do list, doing one to completion and then moving on to the next one. So this again is just a reminder that your energy can be impacted by so many things that aren't just physical, and you need to identify what is draining your energy in your day to day.
I have used this example countless times on the podcast, but as a visual person, it always helps me. But I think of our lives and our responsibilities as if we're all like an octopus and like if we have 8 arms, but imagine that you have an arm for every single thing that your brain is thinking about or tied to, like every open loop that you have. All of those things are draining some of your mental energy. And I don't know about you, but if I had to have an arm for every single thing that my brain, I would have like actually realistically probably at least 500 octopus arms. Like I would it would be so crazy. And when you think about your brain, or the visual that I use too is like strings coming off of your brain, and each of those strings is tugging on your brain in one way or another. I'm like, my precious little brain is being tugged on in like 500 different directions. That's freaking stressful. Like no wonder my like mental energy feels drained and I'm feeling so overwhelmed trying to manage all these different things because my brain is just one brain and there's 500 little strings coming off of it. So I think trying to minimize that is really helpful. I know we've talked too about this kind of on the podcast as well, but I think it's particularly relevant to this idea of context switching, which like when you're constantly going from one thing to the next, even when like let's say you have your corporate job all day and then you're building a business on, after work. I think when you try to sit down and work on your business, it's like give yourself that focus work time because it's easy to be, let's say you work 9 to 5, you start working on your business at 6, and you're like, I'm going to work from 6 to 8 on this business. But then your mind is going the whole time thinking about, oh, I need to get groceries and I didn't get to the gym today and I need to do this and I need to do that. And your mind is like going and thinking about all these things. And I think if you can give yourself though, like true focus time to work on just one thing, that will really move the needle. That's been something that's helped me a lot is just mentally. And sometimes even if I'll verbally say to myself, right now, I'm working on one thing. I'm like, my one thing right now is the outline for the podcast. I am closing the other tabs. I'm going to work on the podcast outline until it is done. Whether that takes me 45 minutes or 2 hours, I'm working on it until it's done. And I just focus on that one thing. And that really helps. I did want to pull up the stat too, because I think that it's relevant for everything, whatever thing you're trying to manage. Like if, let's say you're balancing the career side of things really well right now, and part of your ambition has to do with your health and fitness, and you just are struggling to find the energy to get to the gym or whatever it may be. Know that when you are doing like that one task in that focus block, when it's like a task like a work task or cleaning or something like that, it takes 15 to 20 minutes before you hit that flow state in a focus work block period, which is interesting because I think that's when a lot of people end up succumbing to the other ideas or thoughts that are running through their head. And when it comes to physical exercise and working out, they say that on average, it takes 10 to 20 minutes for you to reach a flow state in your workout session because it takes on average 7 to 15 minutes for your nervous system to get engaged, which is what gives you, your nervous system activates fight or flight. And that's what gives you the energy to actually go in a workout. So I think that that's helpful when you're thinking about if you're thinking about movement to get energy back into your day, okay, give it like 7 to 15 minutes before you feel that energy from it. But then also when you're trying to reduce the energy leaks in your day to preserve your energy overall, and you're having these focused work blocks, you have to give them a little bit of time to see if they, to get into that flow state and be productive, because the first little chunk isn't always going to feel the most productive.
I love that workout example. I've never heard that before, but that makes
Yeah.
sense. That's why, like, you walk or run on the treadmill for 10 minutes to warm up because, I mean, that 10 minutes sucks, but
Well,
then you're in it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Even
No,
just
I
when you think about getting to the gym, like sometimes I used to have this job at a daycare where I'd start my shifts at like 7:30. So I'd wake up at 5, I would get to the gym by like 5:20, 5:25, and I'd work out for about an hour. And even once I was physically at the gym, I mean the hardest part was waking up. Then the next hardest part became actually getting there, driving there because I was so exhausted. Then the next hardest part is that I'm physically at the gym and I'm still like, great, I feel so exhausted right now. I don't want to work out. But then you think about when you hit that midpoint of your workout and you're lifting heavy weights or you're in the Pilates class and you're feeling really strong, it's because now your nervous system is actually engaged. And so you're getting that like that adrenaline, that fight or flight, the energy that's coming from your nervous system being engaged. And I think that is really interesting to
Yeah,
think
no,
about.
I love that. And then on the work, like on the work piece of that, just this idea of allowing yourself to get into something for 15 to 20 minutes before you decide that you can't focus on it. And we have an entire episode about doom scrolling and just this idea of like picking up your phone a million times throughout the day and like logging onto social media a million times throughout the day. And if you think about it, when was the last time that you have done an hour-long work block without checking social media in between that? I know that I can't remember the last time I've did that.
Really?
Yeah, no, I pick up Instagram like, every time I get onto my phone, somehow I'm on the Instagram app. I'm not even kidding.
It's like my thumbs just take
My
over and all of a
thumbs
sudden
just
I'm
take
there.
me there, but if you every time you open Instagram, it's gonna take you an additional 15 to 20 minutes to get back into a flow state, to get into deep focused work on
Mhm.
something. No wonder why you're feeling like it's so hard to work on a task for 2 hours. So I
Mhm.
think that that's just a good reminder that your energy leaks are probably coming from very subtle things that you're doing throughout your day.
Yes, and put your phone like physically away. When I am doing a focused work block, I tuck my phone. I have it my laptop is on a little laptop stand. So I tuck it behind the laptop stand to where I can't really even see it, because when
Mm.
you can physically see it, you're again, it's like the idea of visual clutter in your environment. When you can see your phone physically, your brain craves the dopamine that your phone is giving it. That's a natural instinctual like thing. So when your phone is physically there, your brain is going to be constantly looking at it. It's a distraction. It's going to be thinking about the dopamine that it knows you will get when you touch that phone. But if you physically remove it from your environment, it's less in that like visual clutter. Your brain's not thinking about it as much. So sometimes if I'm like really struggling with the phone, I will put the phone in another room. I used to do that. I used to leave my phone in my kitchen when I would work in my office in my old apartment,
Mm.
because it's physically out of your environment. And am I going to go get up and go and get that phone across the apartment? No, because I don't want to do that
No, I
unless I
love that.
really need it for something.
I have started because I noticed that with my workouts when I'm lifting weights at the gym, that if I pick up my phone in between sets, I like lose all focus and motivation and like don't want to do it anymore. So I recently got one of the Garmin watches. It's kind of like an Apple Watch, but it tracks your workouts. I've been wanting one for a while and I finally got one a couple months ago. And it helps you like you press a button every time you start a set and finish a set, and then it counts your rest time. So it'll be like, oh, you've been resting for 45 seconds, like go do your next set type of thing. And I found that to be super helpful because I'm focused more like in between sets. I'm really just like checking my watch, like pausing it, writing how many pounds I did on that set, and then like starting it again. So I'm not picking up my phone as much during my workouts, which has helped me stay in that like flow state of exercising because I did notice that. That's why workout classes are so beneficial because you're not checking your phone a million
Yes.
times while you're working out.
Mhm.
Okay, let's
Mhm.
move on to the fifth one. Okay, these are, and I feel like this is one that like might work for you and might not, because we've talked on the podcast before about how time blocking and setting work blocks in advance can be beneficial for people. And then some people that their brain doesn't really work like this, but this is to create non-negotiable work blocks for yourself instead of just hoping that you'll feel like it. So what this could look like is maybe on Sunday, I love to spend a Sunday spending 30 minutes just planning out my week, planning out different like blocks of time for certain things, planning out my workouts. Set non-negotiable work blocks for yourself of like, okay, I know that I'm the most productive on my business in the morning. So 3 days this week, I am going to have a work block from 7 to 9. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, when I'm not having that work block from 7 to 9, those are the days that I'm going to book a workout class. Or let's say you know that you're super productive on a Saturday. On Sunday, when you're planning out your week, set up a 3 hour work block on a Saturday. And then when your friends are asking you to make plans for the weekend, you know from 8 to 11 or 8 to 12, that would be 3 hours. 8 to 12, you
8
have
to
a
12
3
is
hour.
4 hours.
Okay, yeah, 8 to 11. Okay. I was
Guys,
just telling
this
Reese.
is this we're just starting our day today. This is the morning. So we're just getting
It's
our
the
brains are
morning.
getting
We were just
activated,
saying, I
okay?
was like, I've been
Forgive
up
us.
for 4 hours, but I'm like exhausted for some reason. It's a Friday, so my brain is like half working right now. But from 8 to 11, you have a work block. So when your friends ask you to make plans, you know, okay, I can meet you at brunch at 12 because I'm going to work from 8 to 11. I think just having them on your Google Calendar in advance and giving yourself that time also like psychologically helps you understand that you do in fact have time to work on the things that you want to do. It's just that you need to make sure you're making it a priority.
We have an episode that will be coming out in, I think, the coming weeks with a friend of mine who we're going to have come on the podcast. And one of the things she's going to talk about is values and standards. And I think that this is so relevant to like this number on our list here because you have to value your own time and energy so much that you hold a standard for yourself about like how you make time for it and that you hold boundaries around that as well. So like if you say, yeah, I'm an ambitious woman who's in a really busy season right now where I'm managing a lot and so I really value my energy, you set the standard for yourself that I respect my own time and energy and therefore I plan ahead for it. My values show through in how I make these schedule these blocks of time to protect my own time and energy. And then you hold that boundary by saying, hey, yeah, I would love to go to brunch with you guys. I can go at noon, but I can't meet you at 11 because I have this time carved out for myself because what I'm working on is a priority to me and I value protecting my time and energy in order to get there. And I think that yeah, it shows through in other things too, like, scheduling in your workout classes or, those kinds of things. But I also think the flip side of it is that scheduling them makes it so that later on you're not having to think about it as much and you're not having to think about it every day. Because if every single day you were deciding, what am I going to do at the gym today or which workout class am I going to? Oh my gosh, the place I really like to go, the class is sold out and I have to find somewhere else. Oh, that class is sold out too on ClassPass. Now what do I? And I'm saying this because that's what I've been doing recently. I have not been like prioritizing it as much as I need to. And and then that's what will happen. And then every day that happens and I'm like, oh, okay. And it's just because I'm not holding myself to the standard that, that I set. But I think that it's causing greater stress because now I'm having to think about it every single day. So taking the time to just kind of add it into your calendar is honestly the way to go. And then it becomes a non-negotiable for, okay, I might not have the most energy to sit down and work on my business for 2 hours, but that's what I said I'm going to do. So I'm going to commit to the focus work block. I'm going to get over the friction of the first 15 to 20 minutes where my mind's going everywhere, get myself into a flow state and get the things done that I said I was going to.
I actually think that working on your business is related to starting a workout routine in so many ways. Like, for example, you tend to set these non negotiables for yourself for your workouts, right? Like, non negotiable, I don't skip a workout 2 days in a row, like that type of thing. But you tend to not set the same standards for starting your business and working on your business. Like you should have the standard that you work on your business 5 days a week, every single day, 6 days a week, whatever that standard is for you, you have to decide. But for example, when I started posting on TikTok, my standard was that I posted every single day. I didn't miss a day. And did that mean that on some weekends when I know I'm out of town or I have plans that weekend or I'm just going to be with people to where I can't really film, that means that I need to film more on other days? Yes, but I had that standard for myself and I didn't let that standard slip by. Like, do you want to be the person that has the standard that, no, I work on my business every single day. And yes, after work, I might be tired, but I work on it every single day. Maybe that is only a 30-minute work block. And then I'm still exhausted. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call it a day and allow myself to rest. But just giving yourself that standard, I think helps so much. And I also think, too, when we're talking about energy here, I think that, like working out, you need to get into a routine of it in order to increase your energetic capacity in that regard. Like, if you are currently used to laying on the couch after work every single day, but you really want to work on your business after work every single day, yes, you're going to be tired at first. At first, the first couple of days, that you sit down at 6 p.m. to work on your business, your body's going to be like, what the heck are we doing? Your body's going to crave going back to the couch because that's what you're used to. But you need to give it a week or 2 weeks to increase that energetic capacity to have the energy to do it at 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever your work block is. But I think that a lot of times we just take it at face value of, well, I don't have the energy to do that, so we don't do it, but we don't realize that we need to build up to having the energy to do it. It sucks when you first start a new workout routine and you're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to the Pilates class and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to be in bed. I've been sleeping until 8 a.m. every day for the last couple of months. Like, that objectively sucks. But then after a couple of weeks, all of a sudden your energetic capacity is waking up at 6 a.m.
Also, too, the last thing I'll say on this, and then we skipped number 4, so we have to go back to number 4,
Okay.
but
Our
we're doing great today,
we
guys.
we need some energy. I thought that. I was
Yeah.
like, "Wait, we're, like, really zooming on this episode outline."
No,
Okay.
you skipped one. It's okay. No, but I was gonna say too, the other thing with this, and I think this goes for all of the ones we have on this list, and maybe it should have been its own section too. But as you were just talking about having the energy to like go to your workout class in the morning or at the end of the day, I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't we mention this? I also think there is so much value in looking at what you eat and like your sleep routine and how much like water you're drinking and just like how you're physically taking care of your body to pay attention to the energy. I didn't notice for a while that when I went like gluten free and was found out that I had celiac and was adjusting to, eating gluten free, I was like swapping all these things out of my diet and I didn't realize that I wasn't eating as many carbs, and carbs like help with giving you energy, right? So I was kind of like, dang, I'm tired a lot, which with having endometriosis too, and an autoimmune condition, I am going to be just more fatigued than the average person. But I didn't realize how I wasn't eating that many carbs. And it was funny because at the beginning of this year, I started tracking everything I eat just to like learn more about it and da da da. And I had this one day that I was like, wow, I have been like so full of energy today. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had eaten like a different kind of, eaten different meals for every meal of the day. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I ate a lot more carbs today. No freaking wonder I feel like more energized. And I ate like a mid afternoon snack that had some carbs in it before I went to my workout. And I felt like I had so much more energy. And it wasn't like I was trying not to eat carbs. I just didn't know. And so then it made me really pay attention more to, okay, like what am I eating and when, and how am I listening to how my body feels when my body does feel fatigued, or, if I'm feeling hungry, making sure that I'm eating enough so that I'm not, all of a sudden I'm getting like an 11 a.m. crash because my breakfast that I ate at 7 o'clock is not holding me until my lunch at 12:30. Like, I think there's a lot of that too. I used to also be horrible, 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 horrible at drinking water. Would drink water like literally like
Wait, Grace did tell me this one time. She was like, when I lived in my parents' house, I used to just have orange juice with
yep,
breakfast and then one coffee and then another coffee in the afternoon and then like soda with dinner or something
yeah.
and
Like
no
I would have
water in
like
between.
I would have like a seltzer water. Like I would do a seltzer water, which seltzer water it's like a species of water, but
It's
that's
not
not,
not.
no, that's not water. Which is funny because when I worked at the daycare years ago and I was in my most like active season of life, I would drink a half a gallon of water every day. And I had a half-gallon water bottle that had timestamps on it so that I would remember, okay, it's 11
Mhm.
a.m. I'm still at the 10 a.m. line. I got to chug to 11. And that was really, really helpful. But even that, like, it's like, we can look for all these other solutions to things sometimes, but sometimes it really just is we're not nourishing our body in the way that we need to. And I think it's really good to kind of look at that too. Like, am I drinking enough water? Am I drinking an excessive amount of coffee? Am I actually eating foods that are nourishing my body? Am I eating enough? Like, especially when you're the ambitious person on the go all the time, sometimes you can easily go 4 or 5 hours and you're like, oh my goodness, I just realized I haven't eaten anything and I'm hungry and I didn't even notice that I'm hungry because my mind's going to all these other things. So I think that's important to think about too. And that's a
I
tangent, but wanted to mention
totally
it.
agree. The topic of am I eating enough? I'm so passionate about this topic, and I feel like we could do a really good episode, maybe bringing on like a guest or something to talk about macros and how to make sure you're eating enough and all of that good stuff. So leave that in Spotify if you would be interested in an episode about that. Okay, let's go back to number 4 since I totally skipped over it. I can't read
I was
today
like, I'm just
apparently.
gonna let her go to 5. I was like,
Okay.
I'll circle back.
Okay, this one, I really like this one too. This is to lower the activation energy to get started on that focused work block. And what we mean by this is lower the barrier to entry to get started. One really good example of this is if you want to be a content creator and you want to post every single day, do something like put a tripod at your vanity so that when you have a thought as you're getting ready, you can just plop your phone onto the tripod, film the thought, and edit it in 2 seconds and post it. Or if you film in your car a lot, let's say you have a 9 to 5 and you want to post every single day, put one of those little phone stands in your car so that when you leave the office every single day, you can plop your phone up, say what's on your mind, edit it in 2 seconds, and post it. Find little ways to make your goals easier, whether that be, let's say, whatever you want to work on is on your computer. Okay, well, how do you make sure that that tab is pulled up so that as soon as you leave work and you want to start working on something, it's just like there in your face and you can't not see it. There's so many little ways to just make it easier on yourself to work on your goals and not avoid it.
Percent. I am so big on optimizing your environment to make it easier to do things. For example, when I lived at my parents' house, I had a really small bedroom, like my childhood bedroom that I grew up in. And so I wanted to upgrade to a full size bed because I was in a twin bed until I was literally like 23. So we upgraded to a full size bed. But the thing is I was finding that I wasn't making my bed every day because my bed was up against like one side of it was up against a wall. So I could never like get all the way around the bed. So now I'm having to like climb on top of the bed and tuck it was just like a mess. You know what I mean? It was not fun. So what did I do? I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sacrifice like a foot of space, just enough so I can kind of shimmy behind it and pull my bed a little bit further out. Sure, it's like wasted space, but it will make my life a lot easier. And then I made my bed every single day because it was easier to make my bed because doing the task was not as hard. I see this a lot with people who say like, why, for example, when it comes to cleaning your bathroom, which I need to do this too. When it comes to cleaning your bathroom, why do you keep the cleaner and like, you know, the sponge you use for it, and I use like little cleaning gloves when I clean? Why do I store them under my sink in my kitchen with all the other cleaning supplies? Why don't I just put them
I
in the
do the same
bathroom?
thing. It's so annoying.
So that when I'm in the bathroom and I look at the shower and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to clean the glass again. I don't have to go out, grab all the stuff, dig through underneath my sink and grab everything and go back. Like, why not just put it right there? Like, there are so many ways in which I think we end up not doing things because the activation energy to do them is so like difficult. And the thing is it might not sound like that big of a deal. Oh, okay, you have to walk 10 strides to your kitchen to get your stuff. But think about how many things you think to do in a day and then say it's 10 strides to do each of them. Think about how much that adds up throughout the entire day. Like, it really does compound on itself. But one, like in relation to work thing that I do that really makes a difference is every Friday, I sit down and I make my to-do list for the following week and I break it up by day. So it's like, what am I doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? And I look at all the tasks and I say, estimate, which I think I've maybe explained this in depth more on another episode, but I will make a task. For example, my to-do list today, one of them is outline episode for like a podcast episode we're filming next week. And in parentheses next to it, I wrote 30 minutes because my estimate is that it's going to take me about 30 minutes. So then when I'm making my to-do list for the week, I make sure that each day has about 6-ish hours of work to do and that I'm not budgeting for more than that because usually there's like 2-ish hours of nonsense that gets thrown in there or like unexpected emails or something takes me longer or whatnot. but I will break up my day so that then break up my whole week by day. So then on Monday, when I go to start, it's not like I have to figure out what I need to do. It's like I sit down Monday morning and I know exactly where I need to start and what I need to do. And it reduces that like activation energy.
I love that. Okay, let's move on to the last one because I know this is something that we're both very passionate about too, and we've talked about this a lot in different episodes, but it's to build a life that actually gives you energy back. And I think that if you're sitting here feeling like you don't have energy, you're just in a season where you're just feeling a little bit sluggish, you're not really feeling like yourself. I think it's time to get honest with yourself about, are you doing too much or are you actually doing too little? Because I know for me, I've been in seasons of that where I feel like I have no energy, but then I look at my month and I'm like, what did I even do? The answer is nothing. I've done nothing and I have no energy because I've done nothing. Because I do think that there are certain things in your life that actually give you more energy than it takes, and you should be intentionally filling your calendar with things that give you energy back. So whether that's having intentional friendships where you leave the hangout feeling so good because you just had a really awesome conversation, or you are playing pickleball with your friends and you leave feeling really amazing because you have a really good community, or whether it is your Bible study that you go to every week, or there's so many examples of this, of things that you can do outside of work that feel like you're adding something else onto your plate, when in reality, that's exactly what you should be doing, is adding more things onto your plate that actually give you energy back and make you feel more inspired and more ready to yeah, sit down and work on your business or start the thing that you've been wanting to do. You need that inspiration and that energy from those things in order to do that.
I am such a proponent of this, and I have made, I think, a few videos at this point about this topic because I went through a season where I felt like I just was, I obviously I love my work, I love my job, but I felt a little bit drained just in life in general. I was like, dang, I really don't feel like I'm, I don't know, really just like pursuing joy as much outside of work as I should be. And so I asked myself, what used to light me up, or what did I used to be able to do with a smile on my face the whole time? Because I think sometimes we phrase it as, what can you do that doesn't feel like work at all? Or what can you do that you leave and you feel 10 times more energized than when you got there? And I'm like, okay, there's not many things that I leave like so much more energized than when I showed up, you know, when I think about the things I enjoy doing. But what do you leave feeling happier? Or what do you go to that you're happy or joyful the majority of the time, where you're not focused on a million different things, your mind's not going, you're just able to be present in that moment. And when I think about it that way, then it unlocks like, okay, wow, yeah, there are a decent number of things that make me feel that way. And for me, it was doing service. And I've made a few videos online talking about how I started volunteering with a nonprofit called Deck My Room. And we decorate kids' hospital rooms when they have long term stays. And it's like, it's not something I do every single week because it just depends on when we get requests for kids, you know, new kids admitting into the hospital. But every time I get to do a deck, it is so freaking fun. Like I love thinking about what, you know, what the kid would like, and like trying to find the best things for their interests and their age and whatever, and then getting to go and decorate the room. And the other week I got to like interact, little boy was in the room, and so we got to like play with the dinosaurs that I got him a little bit, and you know, got to talk to him, and we were on our hands and knees on the floor making dinosaur sounds together, like, and it was so much fun. And it, again, it is something that takes a significant amount of coordination and planning. There's a lot of thought and energy that goes into it, but it's something I can do with a smile on my face the entire time. Or yeah, you mentioned pickleball and Bible study. Those are two things that I'm involved in. Bible study starts at 6:30 in the morning. I have to wake up at 5:50 in order to get myself out the door on time to drive to my friend's apartment and be there by 6:30. Am I energized when I wake up for Bible study? No. The first like 10 to 15 minutes of Bible study, I am tired. I'm tired. And then we get into the conversation and I'm focused on the conversation that we're having at hand, and my mind is not going all over the place. So I leave there feeling like I got something out of that. That gave me perspective that I can now go into my day with. And I think that that's something that then adds energy back into your day. Or pickleball. Do I leave pickleball being energized per se? No, not when I'm running around the court for 3 hours. No, but when I'm at pickleball, playing at the parks for that long, I have a smile on my face the majority of the time and I'm engaging in conversation and I'm present. I'm thinking about where my feet are. And I think that is a good way to think about it too, because the more that you can add, like, being present or just finding spaces where you are joyful the majority of the time, I think that allows your body to be at ease. And then that therefore contributes to being more energized. So I think sometimes we phrase it as like, where do you leave? And, you feel more energized than when you got there. And it's like, you might not, but it's like, where do you feel like joyful when you're there?
The other one that I've been thinking about a lot recently is spending time with family. If you're lucky
Mhm.
enough to live in the same city as your family, like spending more time with them. I saw this TikTok video the other day that was like, do you know who your grandma's first kiss was? And the girl's video was like, every video on my For You page right now is talking about this like Alex Earl versus Alex Cooper drama. And people are so caught up in it. But like, have you ever asked your grandma who her first kiss was? Like, no. And it's just the whole point of the video is like your priorities are about these two girls that have no idea who you are, but you don't know something like that about your grandma. Like, how can you ask her more intentional questions and things you should ask her and spend more time with her and all of that? And I've been thinking about that a lot recently too, now that I'm back in Pittsburgh. My whole family's here. Like, just being more intentional about spending time with them, even if it is at the expense of maybe like a day spent being productive. Like, for example, on Sunday, my one niece has a basketball tournament like an hour away, and I'm going to meet my parents there. And I'm probably going to be there all day if it's a tournament and it takes me an hour to get there and an hour to get back. But like, I should be watching my nieces play basketball, especially on a Sunday. Like, I should be spending that time with them. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that you can do that give you energy in the sense of they're just making you happy and making you feel present, because I do think the more time you spend in the present, the yeah, your nervous system is calmer. You could just like take a deep breath and just enjoy it, and then that time spent working can be that much more productive. So, with that, that brings us to the end of this list, I think. Unless I counted wrong again.
No,
I
you
think
didn't
we
skip
got
any
to
others.
okay, I think we got to all 6. But with that, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have any other tips that you've used to gain more energy back and just feel like you have more energy to work on the things that you want to do, definitely leave them in Spotify. I feel like you guys always get like really good inspiration from each other in the comments. So leave those in Spotify. Also, leave any questions you have for us in Spotify. We always do a monthly Q&A episode at the end of each month. So leave those in Spotify as well. But with that, thanks for tuning into the podcast, and until next week.